In the heart of a nation divided, a man would rise to change the course of history. Ulysses S. Grant, a quiet, unassuming figure, would become the leader who guided the Union to victory. But before the battlefields and fame, who was this man? What shaped him? Let's step back to the beginning. Hiram Ulysses Grant was born on April 27, 1822, in Point Pleasant, Ohio. The eldest of six children, he grew up in a modest household. His father, Jesse Root Grant, was a hard-working tanner who instilled the values of discipline, responsibility, and perseverance in his son. From an early age, young Hiram showed remarkable skill in mathematics and horsemanship, talents that would later prove invaluable in his military career. At the age of 17, he entered the United States Military Academy at West Point. Though he was not the top of his class, his steady work ethic and resilience earned him respect among his peers and instructors. Graduating in 1843, he was commissioned as a second lieutenant and sent to serve in the U.S. Army. Early assignments exposed him to military life, but it was the Mexican-American War that would sharpen his abilities. Under General Zachary Taylor and Winfield Scott, Grant learned the complexities of strategy, logistics, and leadership in combat. After the war, Grant faced the monotony and challenges of peacetime service. He struggled with financial uncertainty and personal difficulties. Eventually, in 1854, he resigned from the Army. He tried his hand at farming, real estate, and business ventures, but none brought lasting success. These years of struggle, however, tempered his resilience and prepared him for the challenges that lay ahead. Grant's early life was a blend of modest opportunity and real hardship. He experienced both the support of a loving family and the pressures of financial uncertainty. At West Point, he cultivated discipline and skill. In the Mexican-American War, he gained first-hand knowledge of strategy and leadership. Though his post-military years were filled with setbacks, these experiences shaped a man capable of facing extraordinary trials. By the time the Civil War began in 1861, Ulysses S. Grant was ready. The quiet, determined officer, achieved personal and professional struggles, would rise to lead an entire nation in its darkest hour. His journey from a modest upbringing to the threshold of history's battlefield is a story of perseverance, skill, and destiny. When the American Civil War erupted in 1861, the nation was on the brink of collapse. Ulysses S. Grant, then a relatively unknown former Army officer, answered the call. He re-entered military service as the colonel of the 21st Illinois Volunteer Infantry. Quiet, determined, and disciplined, Grant quickly demonstrated an ability to organize, train, and inspire his troops. Grant's rise to prominence began with the capture of Fort Henry in February 1862. The operation was swift, precise, and highly effective, demonstrating Grant's strategic mind. Soon after, he seized Fort Donelson, where his insistence on unconditional surrender earned him national attention and the nickname Unconditional Surrender Grant. These victories were not merely tactical. They broke Confederate control of key rivers and opened pathways for Union advances. Grant's leadership was tested again at the Battle of Shiloh in April 1862. The battle began with a surprise Confederate attack, resulting in heavy Union losses. But Grant refused to retreat. Over 2 grueling days, he organized reinforcements, counterattacked, and ultimately forced the Confederates to withdraw. The cost was high, nearly 24,000 casualties, but the victory solidified Grant's reputation as a resilient and decisive commander. Promoted steadily through the ranks, Grant eventually took command of all Union armies in March 1864. His strategy was relentless: simultaneous offensives on multiple fronts to keep Confederate forces stretched thin. Unlike many generals before him, Grant understood that the war could only end with continuous pressure. Battles such as the Wilderness, Spotsylvania, and Cold Harbor tested his resolve. But Grant pressed on, balancing determination with calculated risk. The culmination of his military career came in April 1865 at Appomattox Courthouse. After a year-long campaign that had devastated Confederate forces, General Robert E. Lee surrendered to Grant. The terms were generous, allowing Confederate soldiers to return home with dignity. Grant's strategic brilliance, discipline, and perseverance had preserved the Union and changed the course of American history. Grant's victories were not just military achievements. They were symbols of hope for a divided nation. His rise from a relatively obscure officer to the Union's top commander was remarkable, a testament to skill, persistence, and leadership under pressure. The war had forged a leader who was ready to guide a nation through Reconstruction and the challenges of peace. In 1868, Ulysses S. Grant transitioned from battlefield hero to the highest office in the nation. Elected as the 18th President of the United States, he was just 46 years old, the youngest man to hold the presidency at that time. His rise to the Oval Office was fueled by his military reputation and the public's hope for national unity following the devastation of the Civil War. Grant's presidency came at a pivotal moment. The nation was undergoing Reconstruction, grappling with how to integrate formerly enslaved people into American civic life. Grant believed strongly in protecting civil rights and enforcing federal laws in the South. He supported the 15th Amendment, which guaranteed African American men the right to vote, and he created the Department of Justice to uphold civil rights legislation. His administration worked to combat the Ku Klux Klan, using federal power to curb their violent intimidation and enforce justice. Despite these accomplishments, Grant faced significant challenges. His presidency was marred by corruption scandals, including the infamous whiskey ring, where government officials colluded with distillers to defraud the federal treasury. Grant himself was not implicated personally, but his close association with some of the scandal's participants tarnished his administration's reputation. Yet he remained committed to his vision of a united and fair nation, prioritizing the enforcement of civil rights and rebuilding the Union. Grant also focused on economic policy, supporting measures to stabilize the post-war economy. He championed a strong currency and worked to reduce the national debt accrued during the Civil War. He sought to rebuild infrastructure, restore trust in the federal government, and strengthen the country's international standing. Throughout his presidency, Grant faced the delicate balance of enforcing federal authority while promoting reconciliation. His decisions shaped the trajectory of post-war America and influenced civil rights for generations to come. Though some historians criticized his administration for corruption, others recognize his determination to protect vulnerable populations and maintain national unity as defining features of his leadership. Grant's presidency was both a continuation of his military principles and a test of his political acumen. The same resilience, strategic thinking, and courage that defined his Civil War leadership guided his efforts to steer the nation through one of its most complex and sensitive eras. His time in office was a climax not just in his life, but in the nation's journey toward Reconstruction and healing. Ulysses S. Grant's life and career left a profound mark on American history. As a military leader, he preserved the Union during its most perilous time. As president, he worked tirelessly to enforce civil rights and guide a nation emerging from the shadows of civil war. Grant's legacy is one of resilience, courage, and commitment to principles of justice and equality. Historians have long debated Grant's presidency. While some criticize his administration for corruption and political missteps, others highlight his steadfast dedication to protecting African Americans and enforcing the law in a volatile Reconstruction-era South. His use of federal authority to counter the Ku Klux Klan was unprecedented, demonstrating that the nation would not tolerate violent intimidation or the suppression of newly won rights. Grant's personal life also reflects a man of determination and humility. Despite financial struggles, he maintained loyalty to his family and friends. After leaving the presidency, Grant embarked on a world tour, meeting with foreign leaders and representing the United States with dignity and honor. Even in the final year of his life, diagnosed with throat cancer, he committed himself to writing his memoirs. Completed just days before his death in 1885, Grant's memoirs remain celebrated for their clarity, insight, and honest reflection. His burial at Grant's tomb in New York City stands as a lasting tribute to a man who gave everything to his country. The tomb is a symbol not only of his military achievements, but also of his dedication to national unity and the principles he fought to uphold. Ulysses S. Grant's story teaches us that leadership is forged through trials, perseverance, and an unwavering commitment to justice. His journey from modest beginnings in Ohio to the battlefields of the Civil War, to the Oval Office, and finally to the pages of history, illustrates the power of resilience and purpose. Grant's legacy continues to inspire leaders, scholars, and citizens who seek to understand the meaning of courage, service, and integrity. Grant's life reminds us that greatness is not simply inherited or achieved by fortune, but earned through dedication, perseverance, and the willingness to face daunting challenges with resolve. He remains a figure whose story is inseparable from the story of America itself, a testament to leadership, sacrifice, and the enduring pursuit of a more just and united nation. Explore more about Ulysses S. Grant's life and legacy by visiting the Ulysses S. Grant Presidential Library, reading his memoirs, and studying the era of Reconstruction. His story is a window into America's past and a guidepost for understanding leadership, resilience, and the power of justice in shaping a nation.